That's what I was hoping, Jose. Let me do the LFM sign up real quick, because we've been driving Watkins Glen for so long. Maybe we start with RENNSPORT. Why does it only display top chat? We want alt chat. That's stupid. I don't have billions of chat messages. I have 2. Where's the camera? There we are. As you can see, nothing has changed. Well, I could actually, well, since we have time. Okay. That box is a bit tight and slippery. We'll use like that. Or, in other terms, what? I'll try to get the review done next week. Let's just have a quick look at the rim. So Moza Real comes wrapped. I mean, of course, there's the base inside, but I mean, you can see it on the box how it looks if I make that sharp for a second. Hey, stay sharp on that box. Thank you. There we go. And that's gonna be the Moza rim. No, stop tracking my face. Thank you. Well, it keeps tracking my face. You can get the clicky feel. No, you can't, because NVIDIA is so smart it filters everything out right away. I need to get my face out of the frame and then it will zoom on this, I guess. Yeah. That's their... Like, this is the cheapest product, right? That's the entry-level Moza R5. So, everything rather basic on it, but at least the steering wheel, I don't know if you can see this, hard. It's at least giving in a tiny bit, which is, I think, an advantage it does have over the Logitech Direct Drive, where the rim is super firm and a bit thinner as well. I think this is a bit thicker in my hands, and I have very large hands, but no, this feels more solid in my hands just because of the size of the grip, and because there's some, it gives in a bit, so it should be better for longer stints. Looking forward to try this, but not today. We'll do this. Well, hopefully I get to it this week, but I should be good. I should be good. I'll do it desk mounted, because I guess it's hardly going to be on rigs a lot. And then we'll also look at the quick release, which I get the feeling quick releases are solved these days and not so much of a topic anymore. So we're living good times in terms of sim racing equipment, I hope. But we'll see. That's for the week. Okay, so when we're doing LFM later, then I guess we're just going to start with RENNSPORT, right? Is that what we're gonna do? I get the feeling we do. Yeah, well, that up to you by now. But yeah, I get it. Message requests. Ah, cappuccino. iRacing. No, not at all, really. I tried the M8, V8, BMW 8 V8 hybrid just to check it out, but I feel in iRacing, every car is so dominated by how iRacing feels that you don't really get to feel the car. Higher, like you're getting way ahead of yourself. Okay, let's boot it up. And well, the music can go for a bit. And switch cameras. That's the wrong camera. Why is it? Can we? Much better. I should read up real quick on the channel. Here. There we go. There we are. I need to resize that probably and put it down where all the other games are. There's Assetto, there's AMS2, there's Live for Speed, there's ACC. So, and now resize that. That looks better. Uh-oh, that's not centered. Not centered. Center to, well, center horizontally. Click. Now we're talking. Yeah, so hey everyone. Hey everyone. Hey, hey, hey. A beautiful cup, by the way, I stole from my girlfriend. Great stuff. Do we have motec here? So we have motec somewhere. We can do that later. The game has motec output, so there aren't too many channels, so we can only show so much there, but just that you know they have that already considered. Wow, the stream is far back. Anyway, so here's the game. Nice. It doesn't like tabbing out when you're recording video. But I feel this is not actually a RENNSPORT issue. This is a Windows update that occurred because I have the same thing on ACC currently. That when I'm streaming or recording and I'm tabbing in and out, there is a tendency for it to crash. So let's stay in the game. And so I haven't set up a multiplayer session, so what we're gonna do is single player. And the track we've certainly driven the most is Hockenheim. We're not gonna, well, not much settings to be honest. We just start from the pits. There isn't too much to have yet, right? A couple options here and there. And well, I think the UI right now is kind of just a way to access all the options that are there. They are some way sorted, but I think it's still a bit, for now, just let's put everything there so we can control it, but it's not entirely thought through, so to say, because I think they're still adding options. There's more to come, and then they resort everything. So I guess they will first put everything in there before they start shuffling the menus until they start making sense. Of course, the basics are right. If we go to the graphics, the plan was to go. Let's start with Epic. Let's see how that goes. The game still is a bit hungry. We're using the LSS on Ultra Performance is probably a bit much. Let's try balance, okay? VSync will probably not need that, and resolution scale is going to stay. In single player, everything like that is fine. Should be at least. Controls are set. The only thing I need to do really is to adjust my VRS real quick to the RENNSPORT profile, to the event settings. And then we're leaving the menu back. Then we can go for the track. Which also means we can probably stop the music once it has loaded. Well, I'm really putting the game through its paces right now, so I'm tabbing in and out, doing all sorts of shit. Okay. The thumbnail already turned into a meme. Great stuff. Okay, you're all patiently waiting. Nobody's saying a word. Can't drive without gloves, apparently. Go to track. Didn't I set pitbox? I didn't save, I guess. We are patient. Is that loud enough? Probably have to make the... Yeah, I selected pit lane, but I think I pressed escape instead of saving. Well, we could just... Let's quickly do it because it's... I guess it's an Unreal thing. Loading times are rather quick, so this is what we're used to from ACC. Wait, single players, quick session here. Yeah, grid start. Didn't save. Now it should. The points I cannot comment. Well, future content, for example, because we don't know. But I guess they're not gonna have a game with 3 cars and 3 tracks or something like that, right? Is that loud enough, or shall I turn it up a bit? And where is the engine here? Let's give it more engine, okay? Save. Hey Micha, ja, also wir gucken jetzt gerade eine Runde auf Rennsport und dann möchte ich eigentlich, sofern ich die Zeit im Blick behalte, LFM fahren. Watkins nochmal. Honestly, I feel the BMW sound is good, like genuinely good. It sounds much more. I'll do it even louder. It sounds much more like the tin can that a race car is. I keep repeating myself here, but I think this is much more how a car sounds than what we have in other games. Yes, we were allowed to stream since pretty much yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago or so. Okay, the steering wheel is synced. Well, almost. The brake, the clutch, the TC. Let's keep the TC on. So right now I have maximum FPS, right? So I have 117 FPS, which is what I limited to. I'm on Epic settings and I have a 3080 Ti with 12,700 Intel CPU. So it's state-of-the-art PC, right? I think with this whole bug stuff that you're complaining, that is just something. Well, let me increase the mirror frame rate because, you know, for esports performance, you turn everything down, so literally nothing impacts your performance whatsoever. But let's at least put a 60 here or something, right? Probably take high. Virtual mirrors, yes. Car internal, car external. That's going to cost FPS a bit, of course, right? Again, you're looking at an alpha, so things are not optimized. Everything that's graphics related will eventually work and perform. So there's probably little, yeah, that costs some FPS now, right? But everything that is performance related in the end is something will be fixed down the line, pretty sure. Ultra wide for me. But yeah, the mirrors on so many FPS, they do cost a bit of performance. Quite a bit, actually. So I'm probably asking a lot, right? So what I'll then just do is make it a little easier on a PC. And make unnecessary mirrors off, how I normally run anyway. So we're just going with a virtual mirror. That's already better. I'm sure you'd be able to tell it's a game. But it's Unreal Engine, right? So it's gonna look like Unreal Engine in the end. You hear my... Let's see. Let's see. Is that really true? Wait, wrong... wrong screen here. Oh, interesting. Not anymore. Now it has learned it. Ja, Storm, ich sag das ja gerade. Das ist halt wirklich ein Spiel, was noch sehr früh ist und diese ganze Optimierungssachen, die macht man ja nicht am Anfang, die macht man am Ende. Darum, ich hab da relativ wenig Zweifel, dass das am Ende halt glatt laufen wird. So wie ACC halt auch. NVIDIA broadcast laggy? It's not even running. Like, I'm running the OBS internal filter. Maybe something... I'll shift a little more silent, maybe. The sound is a bit more flashy, isn't it? Sounds more like you're sitting inside a empty box. Pun not intended. In the background is a Moser rim, yeah. Yeah, I think that's something I share. I don't really know the target audience they have, right? Because we have already a couple sims that simulate pretty much all cars you can think of, right? So the question indeed is, okay, what are they gonna do different? How are they trying to convince people to play it, which luckily is none of my business. Voice is good, well, okay. One thing you'll notice really quickly, if you see that lap time now, that certainly wasn't full push. I think the whole the car list thing is something that's just work in progress. I don't think there's a strict plan as to what they want to do. If you have a sim, it's pretty much a sandbox, and you can most likely put everything in that you can get hold of. So I guess it's a matter of licenses and what they're aiming for, not so much what they can achieve in the short term in terms of licenses or something. Well, I don't know how R Factor 3 is. There's no R Factor 3 to my knowledge. It's a difficult comparison. No, it certainly does not drive like ACC nor iRacing. I think that's what everybody already agrees on. I think the thing that everybody can kind of agree on is that it drives most similar to somewhere between Race Room and R Factor or so. but it certainly has its uniqueness in there. It's not like you can say, oh, this drives like this. It has elements of this. This has elements of that. So what I was gonna say is that what you'll notice after 2-3 laps should be that the lap time drops massively. Because the tire wear has quite an impact, so there's something that you can already see in regards to the tire model. The drop-off is much more pronounced than, for example, what we're used to in ACC, right? We might lose half a second to a second, maybe 2 seconds if it's a really, really daunting track for the tire. That's a lot of questions. Let me park it after the lap and then look a bit through the questions. How do other people do this? How do they drive and read 20 questions? That was an off track, which it tells me right away. Yeah, for now it's fixed setup, indeed. Which I think for esports is always a good thing. Makes it a lot easier for the tournament organizer to do BOP because there's much less factors they need to control for. Yeah, maybe they have the chat in front. Okay, let me scroll up a bit. 1 second. Slowly, slowly. Okay. On the fence. Is it meant to be more than just GT3? Something I don't know. Not involved in that. We just have access for what you can see. We're driving. Information about how they intend to balance cars. Look at their performance and then make them heavier, take away power. I guess there's no new secrets to doing BOP whatsoever or something. So we're unlikely going to see any revelations there. At least for the esports side of things, locking the setup again makes BOP a lot easier because they have it easier to assess lap times when setups are out of question. ESL times were 36.3, yes, but I think the Porsche Dane Warren, he did 35.8, which is just not possible for me. Just not. Was an insane lap, probably. Even worse that he did it on site. Maybe Nordschleife, I guess. Maybe, probably. Any game basically needs Nordschleife. It's a shame that ACC doesn't have it. R Factor 3, yeah, well, I think I already said something about that. Wouldn't like some vintage cars. I wouldn't like some vintage cars? You would like, I guess, Chris Hickey, right? Certainly. If they perceive the sandbox, then I guess we'll have a range of content. But again, nothing I can really comment. Sound right now sounds like you're using a tin can, which a race car is. So I'd say that's about correct. It's more flashy, a bit more detailed, but every car wears off the more you drive it. Fits in the middle between iRacing and ACC without bugs. Well, it's a PC game. Every PC game is going to have bugs. End of the day, it's just a matter of how severe they are, I guess. Okay, commented already a bit on which sim it drives similar to. We'll get more into that, I guess. Do the tracks feel laser scanned or more like race room? No, that I'm fairly sure that's laser scan. There's a lot of bumps on the road, and I don't know about their financing model. I don't know if you're going to pay for content or if you're going to pay a subscription or what they do. We're not involved in their business model. Connection via FFB, or do you have to rely on like what you hear and see? That's a good question, actually, because I think this is what is essential about each sim. And FFB is like a language that every game has, and every game speaks a slightly different language, and a few things will be similar, a few things will be different, and they are more tricky to judge. Right now, so I think where all sims are really similar is how the oversteer works, right? The car gets loose, the car automatically, the force feedback steers into the opposite direction. You just let the wheel work and stop it where you want it to stop. This is the same in all sims, so that's why they speak the same language. But where they don't speak the same language is about weight transfer, about heaviness of the steering as speed increases. Do they simulate the servo pump and things like that? Do they take the friction that's in the steering shaft, things like that? And I think there are two approaches to doing force feedback. One would be, how does it feel in the real car? And B, what do you need as a sim driver who is ripped off the seat of pants? What do you need in the wheel to control the car? And I think these are just naturally two rivaling concepts, because in the second example, where you say, okay, this is a sim, there are things missing that we can add through the force feedback, you're adding things that are not necessarily there in real life. So there are going to be some differences. I remember when driving the Hurricane ST, the Super Trofeo car, right? Lambo, 2 years ago. So that the force feedback in the real car, there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. You get the oversteer, maybe you get a bump, but you have zero feeling for how much you need to steer or something. In the real car, you just perceive that all naturally through your spine and butt and whatever. But in this, you're not relying on the steering wheel in the real car. So that's where simulation games already differ a lot. They try to put information in the wheel that is not necessarily there in the real car. We need a good multiplayer. How much slide there is? Is it like affect or more? We can look. We could go into this with more driving. Would you compare it to AMS2 since it's running an Unreal Engine? AMS2 is not running Unreal Engine. AMS2 is running Madness Engine. Right? So slide, we're due with more driving. Multiplayer sim, ACC has LFN, but not built in. Yeah, okay, I think they're aware of that for AC2. Let's see. Fixed setup, yes. Ask Jardier. Well, I don't even know in what regards. Oh, you mean reading chat? Yeah, I can't put the laptop on top of the screen. It's just gonna fall down. Maybe at some point I'll have a fourth screen or something, but I already have 2 screens on desktop, which is awful to manage. Sprint events for sure, fixed setups are good. HUD looks perfect. Well, the good thing is we can move the HUD about, right? If I can just go to options, is it gameplay? I think it's gameplay. Display, edit the HUD. So now I can move everything left and right wherever I want to have it. I think that's neat. All of these little things that you can see, big message for one thing, can be moved about. That's why you'll see all the streamers having a different layout. Back. Yeah, it's capped. I capped to 117 because my monitor has a 120 hertz. So we're going 3 below that, which is the general advice from blurbusters.com or something like that. Yes, only the BMW so far has good sound. I feel the Audi has good sound up to a point, and then it kind of falls apart a bit. But there's potential everywhere. They confirmed an optional subscription model, I think. Okay, there you go. I wonder how they will work out the various wheels on the market. Well, there's already quite a few wheels supported, right? Some are driving with the SimuCube. Some are driving with the VRS. I guess some are in Fanatec. I guess those are already in there. And yeah, at the end of the day, they'll have to support them all if they want to grasp the entire sim racing scene. Dynamic surroundings where just stop looks like an image. Well, it doesn't look like people are moving on the grandstands yet. But again, those are like all this graphic stuff, I guess, is details you can always add later when all the fundament is there. Of course, the flags could be moved. You can see the trees are moving a bit in the background. Chat overlay on game screen. Yeah, but that would cost FPS. Not a fan. Game needs to be full screen. Dynamic grip level implemented. Well, certainly the tire grip is dynamic, but I'm not sure if the track itself is yet differing. I would say Right now, there is no dynamic line. This is at least how it feels. We have very consistent results in terms of lap times and when we do those times, so it doesn't feel like there's rubber put down. We have the same lap time drop off in a race in multiplayer with 12 cars than we have in single player. So I think this type of fidelity is not in there yet. Not sure if they plan to. I guess some form of it will be in there one way or another. Depends if they choose the complexity of R factor, which crashes service, or if they choose a kind of lower complexity that ACC has, or if they take an approach of iRacing. So, but that's nothing we know. VR, I am not sure. I haven't tried. Oh yes, Diabolos. I'll go into this with the FFB. Back from the gym, you didn't miss a lot. Graphics better than ACC. Well, it's Unreal 5, so whatever Unreal 5 has over Unreal 4 will be better, I guess. But again, it's not optimized yet. Wait for the final release. I'm pretty sure the graphics will change a lot until release day. There's a lot of optimizing just happening in game development. You're not starting with a 200 FPS game in 4K resolution, right? But again, I'm not aware of the development schedule. Weather simulation. Wait, same pedals on the tournament. How was it? Just making sure I'm not skipping anything. Yes. So how was it in the tournament? So we're all on VRS hardware on site. I think in terms of pedals, they were intuitive to use. Too soft for me because I have a rather stiff pedal, right? But other than that, it was we couldn't really complain, and I felt all the rigs were the same in terms of pedals and steering wheel. Really, there was some variety in how well the PC performed, which could be down to heat because they're really built into the rig, which doesn't really concern RENNSPORT, right? That's the VRS rig, and I feel they couldn't get rid of the heat potentially or something. So FPS varied a bit across rigs, which was a bit annoying. But other than that, the rigs were really good. Weather simulation, not in there yet. I'm pretty sure to have a state-of-the-art sim these days, you'll not get around doing weather. You can't release the game saying we won't have weather, sorry. Then people won't be interested because other games already have that, right? So you're not making an impact, or you're not impressing people if you have less features than others. So I don't think that's a route for them. So we will certainly see some form of weather. Does the car feel like a rigid body? Can you feel the car flex over bumps and curbs? I can certainly feel the suspension work. I can feel the tire slipping. I can feel to some extent, feel maybe the tire walls or something like that, but it's a bit vague. I'm not sure I can feel the car itself flexing. That's not something that's conveyed, I think. The VRS wheel, I mean, so I have the base here as well, and the rim, I mean, it's just a Formula rim. I don't think any Formula rim is different from any other, so I guess also the VRS Formula rim works. You could drive on a stick, right? You don't really need a Formula rim or some fancy stuff. When is the writer coming to the game? I have no fucking clue. Damage model. So far we turned it off, but that was for competition considerations, because with those short race formats that we do, racing can be rough. And yeah, we turned the damage off for now. Didn't really test the damage model yet as well. I had it on in the beginning, but then when we knew the rulebook, I turned it off. Steam description is the same from yesterday. Well, I don't actually know what that was yesterday. I just copy pasted. I'm sorry. More like ACC or iRacing. Let's do some more driving now when we covered a lot of other stuff. How does it feel? Is it good? We'll go into that. The sim have anti-cheat? Well, as it stands right now, I can't see anything. There is no dedicated tool or something. I don't know if there's anything built in the LAN environment. That doesn't matter yet. So I'm not sure. Does the ABS feel different on each car or setting, at least compared to ACC? The car bounced around like ping pong ACC style on contact for now. Well, what you are comparing ACC online versus RENNSPORT offline, which is probably unfair. When you have ACC in the LAN environment, like we have during the on-site events, like we had in Spa, you can have much more contact in ACC as well, just because of the low ping you have in the LAN environment. Once you have 100 millisecond ping, contact models are challenged, right? And then, so of course, what you saw in the LAN was really beneficial because there is, 5 milliseconds of ping. And we'll see in the online round, middle of March, how it is then, how much we need to adapt as drivers. Can you really break 80% and turn? Yeah, kind of. So we have the whole driving questions. We have the questions around how the combined grip is, I think, is the questions, right? How much brake you can do and how much steering. Right now, I feel you can do a lot, and it's hard to work out during the driving how much you really need to do of both. Right now, I think everybody is braking really harsh, turning in really harsh, and only the very last part of the braking will be trailing. There's certainly no on and off, right? But you're just on the brake for a long time, so you could argue that the ABS works a bit too good right now. And no, the Moza box just there. I'll test it throughout the week. I'm not sure it works with RENNSPORT, but they send it to me to do a general review. So that's what's upcoming, so to say. No, the game is not released yet. No. Do a couple more laps. So in terms of driving, where it differs a lot from, I mainly drive ACC, so this is going to be the best comparison I have to, is that you have a lot of front end available, right? I could always just throw the car around and the front end will always have response to change direction, right? And in those playing ACC will know that cars in ACC on the straight, full power applied, they're extremely stable and almost impossible to upset, right? So if we do this turn in an ACC, we'll probably just get understeer plowing and the car just snaps back until the rear is back in place, and then the car is really, really stable. This stableness is something that you definitely do not have in RENNSPORT. You always have front and left, so to say, to use. So you could steer more, you could throw it more. You are more working with putting the rear in the right spot to the right slip angle to get the car through a corner. But it feels like the front end always has more potential than the rear end of the car. I guess part of that will be down to the setup. You can certainly address that once setups are open, but it also seems more fundamental to the sim that there's just always more to have from the front axle. Then TC, so if we do TC really, really high, right? Oh no, that's the ABS slider. Let's do a little lower. If we do where's my ABS? TC is here. If we put it high, it will be impossible to slide the car really. I just full throttle. Impossible to get a slide, right? Only have to be really harsh with the car to get that. So there is definitely a noticeable difference between all the TC levels, right? If I do this TC 11, it cuts away, car is stable. If I do this at TC 0, the rear is much more loose. But that was also a time in ACC when everybody was running 1 or 0 TC, then the game changed and we were running high TC now. Yes, in fact, the RENNSPORT people, they are quite open. Like, after the event, we had a bit of a sit and drink in the hotel lobby, and actually the RENNSPORT people approached us and were asking questions, how we see certain things, what we thought about a few things, what we see sim racing in general, right? It was really open with some people. It just I'm not sure who exactly we talked to, because there's a lot of people involved and what their role is and how much impact they're going to have on the project. But they were certainly collecting opinions, at least, right? And also in the Discord that we have, they are very open to talking about it, and they are very aware the game. Oh, we talked 20 minutes already. They are very aware that the game is early stage and there is a lot they need to improve still, right? Yeah, is it wrong or right compared to real car? How am I supposed to comment? I haven't driven any, except my road car. I think this whole, if you take a certain point of a sim and take that as a big factor in comparison to any other. Like now that some cars in ACC are bouncy because the suspension construction isn't correct or something, or the calculation of how suspension moves or so are a bit off. So I wouldn't treat any sim ever as final, right? They all have a couple things that are more deep down in the sim, and there are some things that are more occasional, right? We had times in ACC where curbs behave differently, and now we have a phase where curbs behave or the car behaves a certain way in regards to curbs. I'm pretty sure this is just going to change still over time as well. So right now here, the cars are very lenient here in RENNSPORT over curbs. They affect the car, they can throw you around, but there at least it does not seem to be any buggy way of the car going over the curbs, right? Everything seems, okay, yeah, that's a bit high, that affects me, but it's not going to launch you to the moon right now. That doesn't mean they never will, right? Because they will still keep changing things in the physics, and at some point they will have those artifacts where they fix one thing and another stops working, for example. No, we don't know anything about full online or AI stuff. Again, I'm not aware of the contents that are yet to come. All I have access to is the contents that we can see. Well, I think you should be able to hear the TC, but it's more silent than we're used to in other games. Where do I try? Where do I try? I try last corner. It's usually a good corner though. I think the engine is a bit loud. If we make the engine more silent, you can hear the TC better. I'll just do it for a second for demo purposes. Let's turn the engine down, leave menu. Let's hope the TC isn't tied to the engine. Yeah, I think you can hear it better now. Might be a bit silent. There. So you can definitely hear it. Right? Do you feel the TC in the FFB? No, and I don't think you do in real life. Like the TC is not something. There's nothing physical happening, right? Just a cut to the engine output. I'm not sure this is something you would feel in FFB in real life. Doubt, big doubt. Engine back up. Save. Would you say it is a sim? I heard from many people who watch the streams, it looks more like GT7. No, in GT7, cars are extremely stable and understeery, and this couldn't be more different. It couldn't be more different. No, it's definitely not Gran Turismo 7, like, not at all. Gran Turismo has, since its inception, understeery cars and very finite grip levels, nothing you can additionally create or so. Gran Turismo definitely is a simcade compared to this, so this is certainly designed to become a sim. and will in the future probably argue around how well they are doing this, like any other sim out there. Bye, Fred. Yeah, there's a tire audio slider. It's tire volume in general is very low. You can get it out there a bit. You'll hear it off throttle. And when you really go into the tire with low RPM, let's try in the next corner a bit with like low RPM. But yeah, it's very, very hard to notice, but it's there. Like replay mode on stream. Right now, as it stands, for a qualifying lap, we'll run TC off. So just as little interference from the TC as possible. So it's all down to the driver. How much slip you're using, how much slide you're using. Don't want any interference from electronics there. And it certainly helps you on corner exits, being able to decide yourself how much you want. But you need to be careful. It's not like you can crank the wheel, slam the throttle, and the car will just go with at whatever angle. There still needs to be some fidelity to what you're doing. So that there is trail braking, there is throttle management. You can always say, right now, the tire model is a bit lenient. But then again, you just have to control all these slides as well. So it's difficult in a different way than the games we have currently, I'd say. Off track? No. I think if I had to describe the overall way you drive here, I think you're really aggressive, you're really pushing a lot most of the time. You always try to squeeze something out of the car, try to work it, the front bites, the rear bites. There's always something to work on entry, on corner exit. There's always something you need to do as driver to get the car around the corner. It's not going to drive itself. So you have to be highly focused, which is something that is very difficult in the LAN environment. Well, there's a lot of sound coming from the outside, trying to kind of attract your attention and shift it away from the RPMs telling you how much the car is actually sliding if you're still in the range where you're propelling the car forward. You saw people with overheated tires. I guess because we're pushing the car so much, and right now, it's just that's just the kind of the balance that you get when you push the car a lot. Then you get the time drop off. You could push more, but it's gonna make you slower because the tire then finally overheats. I don't know which tire they're using. Could be a Pirelli or a Michelin or whatever. And then, what overheating is just a matter of what is actually hot. Right now, this is about 130 or so, which you'll have on the inside of the tire. But these are all details that are very hard to comment on. And I have no clue how or what temperatures real racing car tires actually produce. So it's really tough to say this is right or wrong. Shadow issues like in ACC, well, it's not an ACC issue. It's an Unreal issue that things are rendered a certain distance before the car. Well, we can do ABS 0, but you're not gonna like it. Like, we're just locking up. And we'll have the flat spots really, really quickly. There you go, right? And probably then also have to put the balance further forward, because the rear locks. I'll drive, right, slam the brake, front lock. And I can already feel in the first feedback that it happened. I'll do it again. Let's like, do a really hard lockup, and then you'll see in my steering wheel as well that I ruined the tire. But initially you can slam the brake just once the trailing needs to start. Like, it has to start at some point. Once you start steering, you'll take the load of one tire, and then it locks up. But initially you can be aggressive. So now my wheel's already vibrating a bit in some frequency. And at high speed, that's just, yeah. I don't know if you can see this or hear it, but this is actually ripping my rig apart right now. So the flat spot is very noticeable. Because, I don't know, yeah, it's too high of a frequency, but my neighbors are certainly noticing. So you can't drive just ABS off, doesn't work. Too difficult, I guess, and destroying the tire. The mouse is falling off. Let's get a new tire. Oh, session is almost over. Is the mic fine again now? Your voice has flat spots. Yeah, I don't know what happens here, to be fair. Stat on. Microphone, default device. I think you're going too far with some of those questions. The camber setting is going too far given the tire temperatures. We don't even know what the temperatures display, which part of the tire. It's completely out of question we can comment on it at all. Because we have way too little of an idea what's actually happening and what's being shown. I think I talked to the BOP guy that they were thinking of lowering the camber to keep the tire alive longer, but in the end, taking away camber made the car slower, even though the tire was in better condition. Can you feel the difference between front and rear engine? Yes, you can. Yes, you can definitely feel the difference between different engine layouts. You certainly feel where the mass in the car sits, no doubt. I'll just quickly change the microphone here. 1 second. Properties. No, that's the wrong one. Properties. So we're using video broadcast now. Okay. So the filtering is now not done in OBS, but in NVIDIA broadcast. Maybe that helps. We'll find out. You tell me. Locking all the rear tires depending on brake bias, much too early to judge. Of course, there's going to be a certain setting, but I don't think it tells us anything about the game, because just as in ACC, the brake bias does not tell us how the brake power distribution is actually between front and rear axle, because the brake cylinders have different size, and the brake, like the pipes where the fluid is, also has different diameter, which impacts how much force is actually conveyed to which axis. So the brake bias setting that you have in the cockpit does not in any game represent the actual force put on the front or rear axle. So nothing you can comment on. Yeah, next round is going to be Nürburgring. Well, yeah, you like that the car turns when you let go off the gas, but it turns in every situation when you turn the wheel. That's what I said earlier, that the car just has somewhat infinite front end, or at least always more front end than rear end. And it has a pit limiter that works in all gears. Unlike ACC. Right, I can turn with full throttle. I can lose it, certainly. I can turn with the car pitched forward. and I can turn off throttle. So this is something where it differs certainly, at least from ACC, maybe as well from iRacing, that the cars just have different behaviors with different pedal inputs. Where in iRacing you get a very oversteery car under braking. You also have an oversteery car on throttle, has a tendency to snap and not being able to recover when you overdo it. Whereas in ACC you can have the entry oversteer, but most likely have exit understeer. But it's something down to cambers and toes interact on ACC, which is certainly something that will be addressed in the upcoming patch. I wanted to take that sausage there, next lap. Just to show you a proper bump. You see, he's trail-braking in that corner, for example. None of the drivers is really slamming it here, so it's not like I can do this, but I just lose the car if I go into the corner, full brakes, full steering. I'm just overdriving it one way or another. But it certainly changes with the ABS setting as well. So. Well, ours is talking about patches, and everybody's talking about patches, so I guess it's going to come at some point. And everybody's talking about the negative toe that we want to get rid of. I'm pretty sure ours is unhappy with a few things that you don't see in real life. That was, yeah, that was too much of the bun, too much of the sausage. Yeah, I mean, here you also have to precise. You lose time in a different way, right? It's not because you get stuck in understeer, but because you're rather traction limited. And if you can't get the car to rotate early, you have to rotate it on power, and that's going to cost time. Does the car have an underbody? How am I supposed to find out? I guess it's certainly there. That bump certainly hurts. I'm wondering if on Spa we have a higher curb that I could beach the car on. Oh, we have one. 1 second. 2 corners ahead. Oh no, we flattened that. I can't park it on it, I think. No, not high enough. Well, kinda lucky. Just about enough grip. Or here, there's also like a hole behind. More questions. Just keeping an eye on the watch, on the clock for LFM. Does it feel like a true sim in its current form? It looked a bit like a hybrid of ACC and GT7. Well, I think that's... if you're a goldsmith, or how's the saying? If you're a nail, everything looks like a hammer, something like this. Or if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If you play ACC and GT7, everything looks like ACC and GT7. I would say the cars behave nothing like ACC, and especially not GT7. No. Do I have the concept of camber wrong in my head when I say that the camber setting is good when heat is distributed evenly across the tire as a base value? Nothing for that stream, but yes. If your tire ends up having the same temperature, you're probably running too little camber. Yeah. In ACC, always run max setup, max camber, if that's the question. Maybe take out rear camber or something to get the car to rotate. Are the cars different and unique in terms of handling and feel? Yes, they certainly behave differently. You do feel a car that is a mid-engine being a bit more twitchy. and the rear engine a bit more oversteery in general than the front engine cars. Ever have moments where you lost time apparently for no reason? No, not really. I think every time that happened, it was clear. I think. Is the UI on screen right now all in game? Yeah. There's no additional. Nobody has access to the game who's coding overlays. So yeah, that's all in game. Grip behavior on grass. You don't want to go there. No setups available, Michael. So no toe hags. Yeah, I wouldn't compare it to AMS2 because AMS2 is way too lenient. Um, in AMS2, you can drift a heavily error reliant car like a GT1 car, like the CLK GTR. You can go sideways through a rouge and it will just stick. So AMS2 for me, that's, I don't know. AMS2 is the least sim of all the sims we have, I'd say, especially on slick tires. I think it's much better on road tires. The gravel on Spar looked like solid. Well, that's not working. There certainly is some type of tire management over longer races, certainly more than right now in the sprint races that we do. And yes, there is flat spotting, but if you just run the ABS high enough, it's not going to be a problem. Yeah, Daniela, I just think it's always too early to judge an alpha. Um, every simulation out there, right? What they're building is their take on simulating everything the best way they can figure it out, right? Nobody is deliberately making a bad attempt at simulating something. They're all limited in terms of knowledge, all limited in terms of computing power, all limited in resources to model more detail or whatever, right? So there's always limits everybody is working against, and that's going to affect how your game turns out in the end. And what Aris used to say very interestingly is that accessing real life data is really tricky because you're not going to a real racetrack. You look at the tarmac and say, oh, this is 97% of the grip we have on a normal day. You just don't fucking know. And then you get lap times and data from a real car, and then okay, we have so much g's in that corner, that's the temperature of the tire in this case. Is there dust on the track? I don't know. Is it more dust than yesterday? I don't know. And then you have those data, then you run something on your simulator, and then you put the data that your sim puts out against what you've measured in real life. And the problem that you have is what actually correlates there? Where are the differences? Are you simulating 100% grip level in ACC compared to 97% grip level in real life? Do they actually compare? So there's always some inconsistency in data you're comparing, and there's always some room, like wiggle room in how accurate you can make simulations become. I think the main thing that F1 teams try to do with their simulators is get better correlation to real life. That's a struggle that's there, even if you have hundreds of millions of budget. So this is something that will definitely exist in sim games that are running on much less powerful hardware. And I think this is also where all the sims differ, is where in the spectrum that is unclear they are operating. And I think this is something you need to keep in mind when you compare different sims. They're not doing things very differently. They are all on different borders of the margin that just naturally exists because of the data that is available and the interpretation of that data. Prototypes. I don't know. I guess they're probably not just making GT3 sim because that space is occupied. That would be dumb, and they would put too much effort into copying something that's there. RENNSPORT and RF2 in terms of FFB. I don't really know how RF2 is in terms of FFB. I've hardly played it, so tricky. Yeah, does it have a place? I don't know. That's a product question, which is way too early to answer. We have 3 tracks and 3 cars. It drives. You can see the sim approach to it. There's detail in everything that's modeled. You can argue if that detail is correct or not, or how much it differs from other sims or from real life. But it's all there, right? You have the different tire temperatures. You have the response of tire temperature to grip levels, and all of that is there, right? There's detail is simulated. You can be sure of that. It's just a matter of, do you like how that detail is simulated? Do you like how it corresponds in the end with how you have to drive? So in terms of, is it a sim? Most certainly. Does it drive like the ones you're used to? Most likely not. Is it correct or wrong? I can't judge for any of the sims out there. And then does it have a place is more a question of, will it do something different that people actually like? Do people have certain factors a game does over others? And I'm sure it is not solely around the driving. It's about usability, accessibility, cost, amount of players online potentially. Does it have, for many people, offline is the main thing. So will it have an offline mode to attract people? That's something I can't answer. I'm not the product manager. Well, maybe the latest gen CPUs can take much more physics calculation, but you're doing a PC game for a huge spectrum of hardware, right? You're not doing it for the top spec PCs. You need to run it on, well, the worst available specs. So you can't just do 1000 hertz, 2000 hertz, or whatever, because it still has to run on people who can't afford a high end PC. So you're limited by your poorest user, so to say, right? Doesn't matter if there is CPUs that can do double or triple the amount of hertz. You're limited by other factors. Let's say by the most common CPU, that's what you're limited by, not by the fastest one. Right. Let's do Spa. You can disagree with me, by the way. I'm just trying. 260. Hello of you. RENNSPORT now on Spa. Loading time is pretty much the same thing as in ACC. I guess it's just how the engine works, that you can load things quickly. I do like the exhaust pops. That's something you don't have as good as in other games, unless you're driving the M6 in ACC. Yeah, Ben, I kind of answered that earlier. The thing is, you are comparing RENNSPORT in the LAN environment with ACC in the online environment with people having 200 or 300 milliseconds of ping. That's just not working, right? There's too much of a time gap to do accurate calculations. And in the LAN environment, if you take ACC there, it's working very, very good as well. So we'll see how this is managed online here. If it's more a race room approach where you can just lean onto the other car and just stay rock solid on the track. But I doubt that, to be honest. Well, I'm wearing a BMW shirt. I'm not driving a Porsche. They'd have to pay for that. Okay, that was too much of the curb. I think you can actually change the units from KPA to bar or PSI. I think that's possible. Just trying to keep up here. How do you think about sim for high-end users? There's nothing in that niche. Do you think it would be desired? Matter of cost. If you have less users, they need to pay more for the product. Enjoy driving it is very tricky because I have ACC so enshrined in my veins. It's a different kind of enjoyment. In ACC, it's a lot around driving, around the limitations of the game. I think here you have more option as driver. You need to control the grip limit, I think, more, or not more precisely, but with different measures. And generally, for drivers, it's very desirable to be able to change the car's behavior or change how much you use of the limit, how deep you go into the limit with the throttle pedal, which is something ACC doesn't have right now, for example, right? You just slam the throttle and let the electronics sort it out. Here in the corners, you need to be more careful with the throttle, and I think that's a more rewarding feeling, at least on corner exits. But then again, you can push a bit too much into the corners, where it's sometimes hard to judge how much room there still is left with the car. But yeah, again, it's also rewarding when you get a good lap time. It's just differently to other games. I wouldn't make a qualitative difference between games, how rewarding they are to drive or how fun, how dull. There's definitely enough detail here to keep your brain occupied for quite a while. But why wouldn't pressures be ultra relevant? It's the most, like, one of the most important settings you have on the rear tire as well. iRacing graphics here. Well, yeah, I don't know. Can't judge. Tire pressures are very relevant in RL. Right, exactly. Is it more like RF2 in that aspect? You mean driving-wise? I'd say so, but then again, I didn't drive a lot of R Factor 2. Does ACC still have the diff lock problem? I actually looked into this, and the problem of ACC is not the diff locking. This is what happens on race cars in general. If anything, iRacing has a diff not locking problem. No, ACC's problems come from elsewhere, most certainly, not the diff itself. Maybe it's a bit too quickly how the diff opens and closes, but generally it closes once you're on power. Driving experience varies every lap. Yes, the tire degradation is quite drastic here. You basically have 1 or 2 fast laps and then already a half-second drop, and then 2 more, 3 more laps, it's already a second. Yes, every lap differs a bit, and temperature different every lap, and you can overcook it in one corner, and then the next one will be worse as well. So yeah, there's a lot of adapting happening lap after lap, corner after corner. So you're very busy finding lines. So I'd say, yeah, there's a huge ton of variety in how you have to drive lap after lap. FFB better than iRacing. So the FFB right now, you can run it at 400 hertz, same as ACC. So there's definitely more detail than iRacing has, less canned effects than iRacing has. Well, if it has any, but there's not really curbs in iRacing, right? Yeah, I should probably try R Factor 2 at some point. Can you drive on gravel? Well, you mean grass. Gravel isn't really there, but yeah, you don't want to be on grass. That's going to cost you time. RDR8 is OP. I don't know, BOP discussions are kind of boring. Oh, you definitely feel a huge difference how the brakes perform when they're cold, because they don't perform. Start of a hot lap, brakes are cold, you don't have any braking capacity. Takes a corner or two. Oh, that was way too late. SRO Monza, I'll try, but it's tricky because it clashes with the RENNSPORT round, so we'll have to see how we can work that out. FFB compared to ACC, what I'm missing is a bit of gyro forces. There seems to be some general damping here in the steering, so it feels like the power steering is more in there. You definitely have all the bumps, you have the oversteer, you definitely have very little indication of understeer or how much you're using of the tire. That is certainly perceived more visually than it is in the FFB, but that is also something that I felt when I was driving the Super Trofeo Lambo. You just don't really get feedback from the steering wheel itself. You get it from your seat and how much you're pressed into it in one or the other direction. It's not really in the steering wheel. So this is something you do in sim racing to give drivers a feeling that they don't have because they don't sit in the real car. And I think there are two approaches to force feedback. One being strictly simulating what real steering wheels do, and the other is adding things to the steering that aren't there on a real steering wheel, but make a sim game much more approachable because you get information that you're otherwise missing. So right now, this looks more like they're simulating part of what the real steering wheel does and part of additional stuff on top. Once you get used to it, I think everything is there that you need to drive the car. You can go to the limit, but I feel I'm driving more by sound in the critical situations than I'm driving by the FFB in some situations. Oversteer, certainly, all in the force feedback, no problem whatsoever. But how much you're using the car in a corner, how much you're throwing it in, this is more likely something that you have visually and acoustically than you have it in the steering wheel itself. I do one quick lap, then go through the last questions. I think we have to join LFM. I wasn't off track, interesting. I think we'll have to join rather quickly. Let's do it right now. Where is my LFM website? Here. Well, have you seen lap times on the new Spa already? I haven't. 2 minutes. Oh yeah, I need to badly join. So let's end RENNSPORT. Exit game. I'll be very shit on ACC right now. ACC. There we go. Oh, Armamentario. Need to start that as well. Knockout tournament format, very rough, but I think they're looking into changing it so there's more chances to drive even if you fail in the first quarterfinal. No, you certainly don't feel all grip mid corner when the tire heats up. It's more gradual, not suddenly. Thoughts on ESL? Hard to judge so far. We'll see. If it brings views, is good. How are the cut track, off track, all of those compared to iRace? Compared to iRacing, I don't know. Compared to ACC, I could tell. I don't think there's lots to say about it. It's managed. I'd say it's managed. I hope this works. So what do I actually have to do to join LFM? Server list. I haven't played LFM in a while. Where is the server? Here. Copied. Connection to the car. It takes a while to get used to it. it feels vague initially, but as with every game, once you get used to it, it's there. You're just looking for different things initially because the game speaks a different language and you're not understanding it. And then after a couple hours and days, it's like, oh yeah, this starts speaking to me and I understand more of it. So connection to the game grows the more you play it, I'd say, or to the car. Where's server, Boris? It's how many seconds until the server should come? All refresh. I just need to check that Armamentario pops up on screen correctly, because right now it's bringing up this window. We need the other one though. Where's server? Hmm. Am I searching something wrong? All. I'm looking for all. Server not there yet. How do the setups work in RENNSPORT? I don't know because we are driving on fixed setup yet. So there's no garage that we can set up anything in. Doesn't exist yet. Where's the server? Come on, it was supposed to be here. Um. Oh, okay. Well, it was. I mean, it says session live here on the website. Oh, that's a session before. Sorry. Server opens a minute and 15. I was, of course, doing it all wrong. Of course, of course. Don't stress, Niels. Don't stress. Fuel consumption is there. Can't say much about it. With a fixed setup, they gave us enough fuel for the races we're doing, so not a concern for us. Tremendous trail braking. Thank you. Yeah, fix Armamentario, NVIDIA broadcast. Oh, yeah, VRS. Need to go back in the VRS tool to my original ACC settings. So it's working. Done that. We don't need that. We don't need that. We stick to that. And then we wait for the server. What happened? Yes, brake bias, TC, ABS, the only things we were able to change so far. Which I like more. No, the server's gonna come with that. There we are. There we are. I guess I'm split one still. Yeah. And now we need to check if the setup blocker is working. Setup, load. Setup blocker is not working because setup blocker, refresh. There we are. And then hit drive. It's very cold, crazy. And now Armamentario is running, but it has chosen the wrong window, and we actually want this. No, we want this. Refresh. Oh no, this one. There we are. So everything's set. Now we have a minute to go to the garage. Oh, actually, I need to set my audio real quick because I had a coaching turn it down. Setup, load setup. We take the Q set, which is 30 degrees. Oh my god, we need to go up so much in the pressures. 17 clicks, something like that. So that is 26.4? 3? 16 clicks, that's 27.1. And 16 clicks here as well is 26.4 and 27. Well, let's see how that works out. Fuel. Let's take 24, 3 laps, 6 laps. Oh, that's too much. We do 5 laps, so 15. I have 17 liters, 5 laps. Ooh, no rain at least. Oh no, everybody out. Okay, now I see Armamentario myself. Okay, well, doesn't matter. I tell you, I'll have a hard time adapting. Takes probably 2-3 laps until I know what I'm doing again. Oh look, in P17 it's D Dara. That's how Dara should be spelled. Dara.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of parking cars. Actually, you know, you guys go ahead. Good luck. You all go. I'm gonna see you in a second. Why is this overlay on top? I don't get it.
Slow car ahead.
Shouldn't ACC be... well... shouldn't ACC be my main window? Option, video, full screen enabled. Okay. Strengths of field, I have no clue. Haven't looked up. See, there's the queue. People, man. I was already away for a minute. Like, the qualifying is done by the point we start driving. Can you go already?
There's a slow car up ahead.
So, let's see how it goes without any practice. Let's try to get valid laps in. Not great, not shit, I guess. Pressure's a bit wrong.
Yellow flag in sector 1.
Yeah, no practice immediately before the session. It always makes sense to do a couple laps. There's the ooh, just about valid. Well, the lap is not going to be good enough for anything. Because it's so cold, people are certainly flying. Yeah, there you go.
Yellow flag, be careful. Well done, mate. That's all best.
We should probably be doing 41s in this, I guess. It was Pippa, not Arthur, but still, yes. That was better. Ah, much too early on the brakes. Yeah, pressure's too high. Let's do a second run in a second.
Yellow flag is active. Yellow flag ahead. Be careful. Well done, mate. Fastest lap so far.
Okay, let's reduce the pressures a bit, because that was too much.
Slow car ahead. Yellow flag ahead. Watch out.
Interesting line. Oh, Mr. Rode again ahead of us. I think Arthur probably has PTSD. Not today. Not today. We'll be ahead. Promised. I mean, 17, 10. 5 kilos are not gonna make a ton of a difference.
Yellow flag is active. Yellow flag ahead. Watch out in front.
Good start to the lap. Get a bit of damage.
Yellow flag, be careful there.
Oh, a clean exit makes up so much time. Didn't want to risk too much last sector because the delta was good.
Well, I made this as me as always.
But yeah, this temperature at 41 should be the target. I'll read it in a second.
Yellow flag in sector 1.
Oh no. That was too far? Well, if I knew the thing I needed to improve in my driving, then maybe. But it's very hard to get data from people that are faster. Or people doing certain corners faster. It's more around that you have someone who gains in a certain part of the track where you're losing a couple hundreds or so. So that's what we do in the team preparation, right? Everybody doing the laps, and then we're checking sectors and micro sectors where each of us has an advantage or disadvantage. None of us is driving the perfect lap. They're just driving, their personal perfect lap, so to say. Hello, Mr. Pace.
Yellow flag in sector 1.
Well, not a 41, but I take it. I have one more lap, but I think the tire is done.
Well, I made personal fastest lap.
Yeah, and I'm done. So the differences we'll see between each other in the team is like certain approaches to corners, right? More or less trail braking, throwing it in versus being slower with the steering, or what else is there? Where you place the apex, where you place the slowest point in the corner, where you actually turn in. Honestly, if you have 27.7 or 8 or 28 flat, We were talking fractions here. It's not like you're going to the world records because of 0.1. So this was good. These were good pressures. Let me check. This was 0817. So probably if we put in fuel now. I have not checked the SimGrade R7 pedals, nor have I seen them ever. 0817, 0817. Oh, 8. Seven. Oh, we have a 45-minute race, so that was stupid. How many laps are we doing? "26 laps, thank you." So 26 times 3.3 is 85 liters. Oh, there's mandatory tire change, no refueling or something like that, right? No formation lap, I guess? Or is there full formation lap or just normal short one? I'm well prepared, as you can see. Full formation lap, so we take another 3 liters. 90. Heads 1. I'll go pee and get a drink. Woohoo, running. Fuck's sake. So, no tire change, but refuel. So we're refueling, I guess? Fixed refuel. Okay. So we need 90, which means use current pressures. So we're adding 45, start with 45, start with 50, add 40. Pressure's adjusted, hopefully. Oh, so changing tires does make sense. Well, thank you. Yeah, so we will change tires. Restarting on set 5, then go to 6. Yeah, if we're standing 25 seconds anyway, then we might as well stand 5 more to change tires. Thank you, by the way. And thank you again. Hey, Emil. Hey. Saying I should take extra fuel? Oh. Nah, 90 liters is enough, right? For 26 laps. If we do 27, well, I'll just refill some more. Doesn't really matter later. We're on the safe side here for now. There we go. 2 more laps. Add 2 more laps to the car. Ah, that's way too much.
Stay single file.
.143 average. Well, the pit stop ruins it, but otherwise, I think with how cold it is, it's a reasonable average. Yeah, with the pit, I don't know, because then we lose, what, 50 seconds in the pits and we do 27 laps, so this is 2 seconds added to the average. So I guess the average is 144. And there's just no way to get any temperature in the tire. I feel like I should add more fuel because I'm using a lot here right now.
Stay double file.
Only used 4 liters on that lap. I guess the entry line has to be obeyed here, right?
Green line, go, go, go.
Oh wow, how was he ahead of me?
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Well, anyway. Porsche shouldn't have any chances in the slipstream even, so we're good. Well, it has.
Car on the left. Clear on the left.
Servus Max, da bist du wieder.
Pit window is open.
Yes, fight behind me. I don't know, could be.
Yellow flag in sector 3.
Maybe it's medium, I don't really know. Yeah, definitely real sim. Maybe go back in the stream like the first hour and a half or so. We touched on that. It's a 49-inch ultra wide.
Fastest lap of the race, man. Good job.
Okay, looks like I need to push a bit. Brake roughly should be 50 something kilograms I use. So I'll need a 5-second gap to be sure I can change tires and stay ahead.
Yellow flag in sector 1.
Yeah, I think that the sweet spot for the braking kilos is an amount you can press for, well, easily the entire race without feeling exhausted about it. And high enough so that you have the fidelity in the trail braking, right? Pressures are a bit low now. I was adjusting from qualifying because they went too high. Now I have fuel in the car and took out just a tiny bit of pressures, but I don't know. Shenanigans. Maybe not pushing as hard as in Q. Oh, maybe more brake ducts. Didn't look at that. Certainly more brake ducts. Ah, yeah, it's fine. One second, I'll read that on the straight.
Slow car ahead.
Oh, it's far away, luckily. Would you recommend LFM for practice and more seat time in general? Well, yes, certainly. The more times our cars are around you, the more you'll learn to work with them. If you just drive single player and not against other humans, you'll have a hard time predicting what actual humans are doing on the track. And you'll have a lot of crashes. So yeah, I'd say interact with other humans as much as you can while driving. Usually, the lower the grid, the more interesting driver choices are. Yeah, it's like 15 degrees colder than yesterday. And we're not running a full tank. Half tank even. $50 SA, but if I drive close to other people, I don't get higher SA. I don't really know this whole safety rating journey is like 3 years ago for me. I don't really know what happens. Usually it helped just driving with AI side by side through corners, several corners, lots of corners. And your safety rating would improve quite quickly. Just don't have contact, then it goes backwards. Way too early on the brakes. You mean armamentario, I guess. The other one you could be looking for is popometer. And you can type that as well as a command. Almost 4 seconds. Just 1 more second and we can comfortably take tires. But I guess we'd be able to pass on a fresh set if he sticks to the old. Still 6 laps to build the gap. Great, the tire doesn't show any signs of wear, so it's just hot lapping. I have the Heusingveld Ultimates, the old ones, like old Ultimates. There's now, I don't know what they call it, Evo or Plus? I think it's Ultimate Plus. Well, you have a better software. Essentially, my Ultimates still don't have their own software for setting them up, but it's no problem. Welche Setups ich nutze? Na, meine eigenen natürlich. Alles, was du auf Popometer.io finden kannst. Aber nein, ich benutze nie Go oder Hymo Setups. Das ist mir zu viel Kinderspielerei mit den Min- und Max-Scheiße und so. Da halte ich gar nichts von. Wir bauen richtige Setups bei Popometer. Natürlich sind da auch Creator auf Popometer, die sogenannten Meta-Setups bauen, aber ich mache das nie. Ich finde, wenn man ein Meta-Setup hat, dann braucht man echt keine anderen mehr, weil die alle gleich sind. Es ist echt Quatsch, für ein Bundle zu bezahlen. Da reicht ein einziges. Hast du eins, hast du alle, sozusagen. Da steckt keine wirkliche Ingenieursarbeit drin. Da sind nur ein paar Kinder, die auf Min und Max drücken. Das ist kein Setup. Das ist nur Exploit. If you like a bit of travel in your pedals, then yes, I guess you'll like the VRS. For me personally, I need them very stiff. And I don't think you can go hyper stiff with the VRS pedals.
The car is exiting the pits, watch out.
Okay, we have the 5 seconds now. Ich lese gleich, Sekunde. Wenn ich eine Gerade finde. Irgendwo muss ja eine kommen. Also mit Meta-Setups meine ich Setups, die sich irgendwelcher Game-Bugs bedienen. Ja, also zum Beispiel die maximal negative Spur. Ich gebe zu, das ist etwas, was man leider haben muss im Setup. Im Moment bei vielen Autos. Aber dann eben auch, dass die Leute halt keine Idee haben, wie sie mit Dämpfern oder den Bumpstops umgehen sollen. Und da fangen die Exploits halt an, dass sie einfach irgendwas auf Min oder Max stellen und das hat dann damit, wie ein echtes Auto vermutlich eingestellt wird, einfach nichts mehr zu tun. Nee, Meta-Setup meint, das sind die Setups, die Spielfehler ausnutzen. Ja, so wie das der Porsche hinten immer Bumpstop Range auf 0 hat, zum Beispiel. Also Federwegbegrenzer auf 0 heißt das, glaube ich, in der deutschen Übersetzung. Okay, now that was a shit lap. Ich hoffe, dass sich das mit dem nächsten ACC-Patch alles erledigt hat mit diesen Setups. Dass das nicht mehr funktioniert. Ja, ich weiß nicht, ob es sehr gut klappt. Also wir machen das nicht, den Federwegbegrenzer auf 0 zu stellen. Und bisher sind wir doch am Ende noch die schnellsten in dem Auto, würde ich behaupten. Diese Federwegbegrenzer auf 0 oder irgendwas, das ist immer die Option, wenn man sich nicht lange mit einem Setup beschäftigen will. Dann nutzt man einfach irgendeinen Spielfehler aus, anstatt Zeit zu investieren. Ja. Not my way. Sorry, I need to catch up with the questions. With stiff pedals, have you ever had any lag back pain? No. It's about the kilos, not the stiffness of the pedal. Like, don't mistake the two things, right? You can have a pedal that doesn't move at all for a 10 kilo maximum pressure you need to do to reach the highest signal in the game. And you can have a very soft pedal where you need to press 120 kilos to reach the highest input in the game. So it's all about how you set them up, not how far they can travel. But no, I don't have any back issues from that. But it helps for sim racing when you're sitting a lot to just have general workout, especially lower back. And everything that ties into it, right? So also your apps and whatever all the connections are. Okay, I'll do one more lap. Half race done. Not needed a lot of fuel. So I guess I will be fine with what I'm refueling. Started with 50. I guess we're taking tires. So yeah, don't change, no damage. I said 13, looks good. I guess we have to obey the entry line here, do we? Ich muss ein paar Sachen nach dem Rennen lesen, glaube ich. Oder in der Box, schau mal. So, pressures. At least one up. Oh, das habe ich natürlich verkackt mit der Linie. Ich habe gar nicht gedacht, dass sie so früh kommt. Ich mache noch mal langsamer hier als gutes Zeichen. Ja, Nachgefühl mit Motec, das bringt einen nicht weiter. Nicht so wirklich im Moment. Fünf, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sometimes it just drops you early, I feel. What happened to Mr. Rode? Nils Naujoks setups are always better than anyone's. Well, no, there are probably a few hidden gems out there, but they might not be as public as others. I've driven some really good setups at times in coaching sessions where people really knew what they were doing. They just weren't driving particularly great. So you'd never get hold of those setups, for example, from people who have a lot of knowledge, really know what they're doing, but are not driving top times. Bump Stop Range, je nachdem, was ich aerodynamisch erreichen will im Auto, dafür sind die Bump Stops da. I lost a bit of time overall in the pit stop, but I don't think that matters. Thank you, sir.
Car on the right. Clear on the right.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm not. Look, with the high-mo setups, I guess you can do fast times. There's no doubt about that in the end. But I feel all the setups I've seen from them are solely exploit stuff. And they're often so sensitive that they're overwhelming average drivers. Or beginner drivers, definitely. And often they require driving styles that you wouldn't normally see if the game worked properly. And I think they might actually do harm in that sense, that people start driving cars the wrong way just because the game currently allows it, and once the game is fixed or they drive another game, they're like starting from scratch. I'm always trying to build setups that might be a couple tenths down or so on the ultimate best laps that are possible in the game, but that behave more predictable, more controllable, nicer for a wider range of people. Like, I feel for the high-mo setups, you certainly need a direct drive because they're so sensitive. And actually, not a lot of people do have direct drives. Because only the direct drive really allows you to be very, very quick in reaction times because the wheel itself is quick in correcting the car. And that's certainly not the way you'd have on a E300 or a G29 or something. That's the fastest lap. Now we're talking. Or not. Oh my god, I thought it was fast. Maybe try harder. Let me read. I'll do after the race. Sentences are becoming a bit long. Let's do a bit of chatting after. Cheap enough for everyone. Very, very, very risky sentence. You don't know what everybody's available income is. And you're most likely wrong. Not fastest lap. Yeah, casual driver certainly doesn't need a DD, but then if you buy the HIMO setups, I feel you might need a DD because they're so sensitive and they always have low steer ratio. It's tricky to drive, especially in your mid-engine or Porsche, for example. Oh, what an OP slide. That not so much. That's gonna be the fastest one, surely. Same lap time twice in a row, only on ACC. Can we do it another time? Wow, I'm going really fast and I gained like 3/10 on the Porsche in 3 laps. The Porsche's insanely fast. Yeah, much cooler than yesterday, but it's also... Now we have 13C instead of 31 yesterday. So, does make sense. Wow, he's doing 42.5. No, misshifted. Oh yeah, an unballasted Porsche is a risk here. But yeah, the Porsche already does 42.0 in 23C or something, right? Oi. I lost track of the discussion. I'll be back in it after the race.
Yellow flag out. Good job. Yellow flag is sector 1.
No, I think here the Porsche, Honda and Ferrari are faster than BMW at least. It's not slow, but it's not as good as on, say, Suzuka or so. Yeah, NERP. Paul Ricard, I heard. Ah, yeah, but he is in a Honda. I mean, yes. I thought he was in a Porsche. But yeah, not surprised by the Honda. Misano, it's a long time since I've driven there, like more than a year. So I don't know, the car changed since then. Depends on the temperatures a lot. If it's hot there, the BMW has issues. If it's cold, maybe good. Three more laps, I reckon. I think the Nissan is still good on the straights, isn't it? It just, yeah, just doesn't have the downforce and it's just, in general, really rolls a lot. Oh no. It's nice when the tank empties, the car has like a second phase of being alive or becoming alive. There's traction issues. I think an ACC up 4,000 probably. Well, there's a lot of idling in there and a lot of coachings, for example. A lot of replay capturing, a lot of screenshot stuff. But still, surely a couple thousand hours just driving. We might have had a bit much fuel. Opinion about VRS base. Quite simple. It's easy to use. It has good first feedback whenever I needed it. Can't complain much, to be honest. Not at all. It just works. I think I never turned it off since I have it. That's 2 years. No, actually more. Oh, he wants to do another lap, I guess. He could have just waited.
P1, excellent job. What a race. See you in the pits. Bring it back home.
Yeah, that's about 100 work weeks, right? Okay, let's go through chat. Thank you, sir. Yeah, well, the whole BOP thing, it just... I don't know, in real life, I think it's nicer than in online gaming. Who likes to have no chance going into a race? Atanas, it certainly is not effortless. Like, my hands are screaming pain right now. Because I hold the wheel so tight, there's so many small movements you need to do. That's really just laps and repeating. I know what's going to happen with the car in all scenarios, but I still need to manage it. Hey, Benz. You might be late. I don't think I'll do another race. Okay, let's scroll up a bit. I missed a few stuff. How are GT4 tires holding up compared to GT3 tires? I don't really know. CSW base, I'll find more lap time practicing, then upgrading to a new base. Correct. Temps more reasonable, yes. USDD bases should be cheap enough. Well, yeah, I commented on that. It's depends really what you have. Some people really have low budgets. Oh, somebody lost his base. Speedy Lou. Yeah, that's odd. Ah, du bist hier Mr. Rode, was? Now I got it. 2 years for mine. Eventually, most of the time, it depends how much you want something. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I think we got that all. Merc, Evo, Monza. No, but I'm fairly sure that that Basti Richter put one up on popometer.io. Most certainly. No, Nissan Paul Ricard. I can drive any car, but I need at least, I don't know, 15 minutes of practice. Else the first couple laps are just going to be like Ben's just. I'll type in the chat. Well, actually, it's not for free though. How do I not have? Oh, that's the bot. Thank you, Nightbot. That took too long. Okay. Have fun, guys. Next week, watch out for ERWC, Esports Racing World Championship on ACC, R Factor 2 and iRacing. I'm not driving, but Arthur is. And ACC, we're driving the Maserati GT4 on Friday evening. And then on Saturday and Sunday, it's iRacing and R Factor 2. I think we have the Lotus 75 or something in there. And I forgot the car from R Factor, actually. Be some F, like front wheel driven, but I'm not sure. Do you think RENNSPORT is going for mass driving like GT7 Forza? I doubt, just because the much less people are ready to do sim racing on a PC than people are ready to do GT7 on the console, right? The console is much more readily available to people with GT7, comes in a bundle. You don't get PC bundles with RENNSPORT. Let alone for 500, 600 euro, right? For PC, you're always looking 1.5 grand plus the game, plus the hardware. And the PlayStation already comes with a gamepad, and you can do Gran Turismo for 600 euros. The actual sim racing entry is much more expensive. So hard for them to go the same direction when they're a PC game. It's a proper sim, game-wise, playing-wise, what they're trying to achieve. So it's nowhere near the simcade that Gran Turismo is, and I guess Forza is more of a sim even than Gran Turismo. But I don't know what they're doing with the new game. It's 48 times better physics, whatever that means. Yes, the load was 79, maybe. Some old formula. Okay. This shall be it, and I thank you all for watching once more. We'll see you in the next couple days. I'll try to do... What do I try to do next week? Yes, review the Moza wheel. I'll do it on my desk, because I guess that's more likely where Moza R5 wheelbase is going to be used, not so much on a rig. And also because it's a pain in the ass to change the wheelbase. That's so many screws that need to be loosened and tightened, and it's just super painful. I admire every content creator who constantly changes wheelbase, like Dan Suzuki, for example. I am not ready to go through that pain. Needs a lot of money, and I'm not getting any, so... There we go, guys. Speak very... Where's that button? Ending. Speak soon.